It's the start of a holiday week. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is Monday, November 23rd, 2025. Welcome to another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson. I am the creator, I'm the founder, I'm the NFL and college football analyst of a brand called The Daily Blitz, where we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365. Um, I started this on September 6th, 2010. Um, I'm a radio contributor, I'm a blogger, I am a host, as what I'm doing right now, and I'm a fan, just like so many of you. Um, if you've been following along from the get go, thank you as always for tuning in. And if you are following along for the first time and you were referred to me, one, thank you to the person who refers you to me. Two, thank you to whoever. Thank you to you for taking the referral. And if you want to keep up more on what we do here at the Daily Blitz, log on to the site, which is thedailyblitz.blog, enter your email address and become a subscriber today. And like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We are featured on YouTube. I can't believe next week is the final week of the regular season in college football, and then it's bowl season / playoff time. Give out a Heisman. Our version of Selection Sunday is 2 weeks from yesterday. So we'll find out the 12 that made it. It's definitely going to be interesting. Going to talk a little Week 13 of college football, Week 12 of the NFL. I'm going to answer some questions, and then we're gonna go from there. But I want to start in South Bend. Notre Dame just absolutely pummeling Syracuse. Did Syracuse forget that they had a game? Yeah, I know they're injured, but Jeremiah Love deserves a lot of Heisman consideration. Where would Notre Dame be without him? He rushed for 3 touchdowns on Saturday. Notre Dame hung up 70 on Syracuse, 70-7. Nothing really eye-popping happened in Week 13. Alabama bounced back after losing to Oklahoma 56-0. A game I previewed, BYU and Cincinnati. BYU won that game 26-14. LJ Martin, 32 carries, 222 yards rushing, and 2 touchdowns. Running the football has not gone out of style. Yeah, I know everybody wants to see the theatrics, the, throwing and high-flying offense, but running the football actually sets up the passing game down the field. BYU was a good team, and I think we're going to see them play in December. I think they could be a sleeper come January. They're physical, they slow games down, and to me, they have a very underrated defender in Jack Kelly in the middle of that defense. Arch Manning, what a day, and I'd like to see him build off this. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He caught one, and he ran for one. So he accounted for 6 touchdowns in a 52-37 win over the Arkansas Razorbacks. It was a down year for Texas. They're 8-3. Yeah, that's a good record. But, this team was expected to climb to newer heights. Remember, this is a team that was a game away from the national championship 2 years in a row. They handled their business. Texas A&M, who Texas will play next week, handled their business against Samford 48-0, especially after that scare that they almost suffered last week. Miami handles their business against Virginia Tech 34-17. Good Carson Beck showed up on Saturday, 27-32. 4 touchdown passes. and he threw for 320 yards. And Malachi Tony, 12 receptions, 146 yards, and 1 touchdown. Yeah, nothing really eye-popping this week. I always say the week before rivalry week is kind of, I don't want to say a snooze fest, but nothing really grabs your attention necessarily. Michigan didn't fall for the trap against Maryland. They won that game 45-20, and who they're playing next Saturday, Ohio State, handled their business 42-9. I mean, they've been on cruise control all year long. We knew potentially that their next two tough opponents, Michigan next week and Indiana possibly in the Big Ten title game, will be their toughest opponents. Ohio State just pulled away in the second half. Julian Sam was kind of game manager, 13-19, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you can make a case for him to get to New York for the Heisman. I know his teammate will definitely be there for sure, in Jeremiah Smith, but Ohio State is rolling right now. Georgia won their scrimmage against Charlotte 35-3. Oklahoma, after that big win against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, which is a very tough place for opponents to go win and come away with a victory, handled their business against Missouri, and they shut down Ahmad Hardy. Now, Ahmad is arguably considered the best back in the nation, best running back, that is, and Oklahoma held them to under 100 yards rushing as a team. When you can do that and make a team one-dimensional, you pretty much won that game. Vanderbilt handling business against Kentucky. Diego Pavia, 33 of 39, 484 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he also ran for 1. Now, I was having a debate with Roddy on Saturday night. He's been a very big advocate for Diego Pavia, and he still thinks that Diego can win Heisman. Not at all. I respectfully disagree. And to me, I kept telling him, name me a Heisman moment of Diego Pavia's. And I'm still waiting for that answer. He still hasn't given me one. He was telling me that they could beat, if they beat Tennessee, it's as good as his. Okay, but, Fernando Mendoza beating a previously ranked number 3 Oregon Ducks team in Eugene. That stands out a little more. And where would Indiana be without Fernando? Just had to say that while it was on my mind. Not taking anything away from Diego Pavia, because he's a good quarterback, but yeah, I think Fernando won this award about over a month ago. The game I previewed on Saturday, USC, Oregon. First time getting to see Jaden Maeva play, and Makai Lemon, who was actually my X factor for USC. Oregon's been rolling ever since the loss to who I just mentioned, Indiana. And Dante Moore has played a lot better. The thing I like about this Oregon team is they can run it, they can throw it, and they're physical defensively. But their identity, they want to run the football. And I knew that would be big time for Oregon because USC struggles to stop the run. USC hung around. I really have to give them that. But it was just too much Oregon when it mattered most. Oregon did win this game 42-27. Looking at the stats here, Noah Whittington was your leading rusher. 19 carries, 104 yards on the ground, averaged over 5 yards per carry and 1 touchdown. And Dante Moore, 22 of 30, 257 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and he did throw a terrible interception. Jaden Maeva, 25 of 43, 306 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. 2 interceptions. And Mekhi Lemon, first time really getting a chance to see this kid play. I see a little bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown in him. Just the way he moves, how they motion him, how he works the middle. Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison. But, Oregon is 10-1. They're 7-1 in Big Ten play. Looking ahead to next week, the 2 I'll be previewing, a little luster might be taken away from this one matchup, Georgia Tech. Clean, old-fashioned hate is the name of the rivalry, and this game will be played in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Georgia's cruising right now. They're picking up steam, and they're starting to play their best football when it matters most. I know I've been fairly questionable about them throughout the regular season, but they're running the ball. They're getting good quality quarterback play from Gunnar Stockton, and defensively, the pass rush could come alive. Georgia Tech dropping the ball against Pittsburgh on Saturday night because they looked ahead. On today's edition of Who Rolled Over and Played the Price, we have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And I've been pretty high on them. They played themselves out of getting to the ACC Conference Championship game now, which is tough. So yeah, I'll definitely be previewing that one. And then, of course, I'll be previewing the game. That's Ohio State and Michigan. I have referred to this as the Duke and North Carolina of college football. It doesn't matter where either of these teams are ranked. They're going to be talked about regardless. Michigan comes into this game with no pressure on their shoulders. They've won the last 4 meetings. If anything, all the pressure is on Ohio State. It's the last 2 national champions. Michigan is definitely a better team than what they were a season ago. And can we quit the rushing of judgment and criticism of Bryce Underwood? Because he's still a kid and he's still learning the ins and outs of this offense. And I think he's going to be just fine. But Michigan reverted back to what won them the Natty a couple of years ago, running the football. And Ohio State, they've done it on both sides of the ball. They run the ball, they throw it. They have 3 quality wide receivers in Jeremiah Smith and Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate. Julian Sand just continues to climb the ladder, and defensively is where they've really stood out to me. Get a lot of 21 Georgia out of this unit, making you think that you have a chance, but they settle in, they punch you in the mouth, and they go from there. I cannot wait to get my hands on both those matchups. Also, a pretty entertaining slate of NFL games, and I'll talk about that when I get back. Yeah, it was a little bit of a shorter portion of the college games. Hope you enjoyed the first portion of the show. When I get back, we're going to look back at Week 12 of the NFL, close the chapter on Week 12. There is a Monday Night Football game tonight. Carolina Panthers, San Francisco 49ers. Carolina's playing better right now. I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to answer your questions, give you a shout out. And I'm going to end the show. I guess we could say this is a holiday edition of Monday Evening Quarterback. This is Christian Simpson. I will be back.